Welcome to another episode of The Stream Room. That's right, it's the podcast about content creation by content creators for content creators. And now you're probably wondering yourself, how can I grow on Twitch organically without external funnels? Well, luckily for you, today we are quizzing, interviewing, maybe, I don't know, prodding the information out of a very special guest. And that guest is...
Hi, I'm MicroMads.
How's it going?
Hi, I'm Eljayem, and please don't prod our guest.
What do you mean?
Please don't prod the streamers.
And I'm Nictacular. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
I'm Reapz. Bye. How you going? Prodding? What do you mean? You prod information? Prod?
What kind of intro is that?
What do you mean?
It's so weird. I saw Mads recoil.
Okay, let me go again.
No.
You
don't need to move on.
Prod.
It'll be great. I haven't had a good prodding in a while.
We're gonna prod. Oh man. Oh jeez. Anyway.
How is everyone? Is everyone having a good early morning?
Yep.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Away.
It's great now.
What's in everyone's cup?
Water.
Everyone's got a cup today.
Very nice instant
But
coffee.
I've had coffee. You're all late to the party.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're a tea drinker, Mads?
Yeah, I am a tea drinker, and I only ever really drink like 2 kinds of tea. And this one particularly is ironically for an early morning celestial seasoning sleepy time.
Sleepy time.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised to hear that a streamer who does 10-hour streams of consistent talking can live without having caffeine injected into their veins.
Oh no, I have caffeine. I just don't drink coffee.
That makes sense, yeah.
Is it
Does
tea has some caffeine in it, right? Like it has, or some teas do.
No, this is where I do my brand sponsorship.
Do it.
No,
Sponsored by G Fuel, lead in the paint.
no, I just never really got into coffee.
That's fair. Honestly, it's not a great drink to have. Hey guys, gonna throw it out there. Speaking of great things to have, comments, please. Please comment on the video. If you want to, like and sub and support the stream. And if you have any questions, comment them below because we would like answering your questions. We have a bunch today. If we get to them, we'll go through them. If not, we'll cover them all next week as well. But yeah, ask as many as you want, whatever you want, because it's the best part about the entire podcast is the interaction with creators who are all trying to grow, because we are very similar to you. We're not giant. We're only a little bit ahead of you guys. So it means that we actually have an understanding that I think a lot of people don't have. But speaking of understanding, today we're talking to you, Mads, which is actually pretty exciting, I think, because I think you're a really rare case of a streamer. Okay, hear me out. I know you don't like this, but in about a year, right? You've gone from starting streaming to being pretty consistently averaging 200 viewers, but more importantly, making very consistent, good quality content. And you've done it in a way that I think not many streamers have done before. Well, they've done it, but I don't think many small streamers know about it. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. I would say that it's a very robust mixture of persistence and luck. Because you can't. I mean, we all really know that on Twitch, getting lucky is a considerable part of the battle.
Yeah.
But persistence is really key to growing your content in the way that you want it.
Well, the harder you work, and the more persistent you work, the less luck you need, right? That's the end of the
Absolutely, yeah. The less lucky you have to be.
How's your week been of streams? What have you been up to? What do you normally stream? Give the listeners a little intro.
Okay, well, I consider my week starting on a Sunday as opposed to a Monday, which I think is pretty old-fashioned.
Is that a controversial take? I don't think that's controversial. I think Sunday.
Is it a hot take?
I think Sunday is when your week starts.
Yeah, I start on Sunday for sure.
Yes,
Nick's awfully quiet. I feel like Nick's a Monday guy, and we're gonna have to bully him.
Well, so my work schedule starts week on Sundays, so I'm used to the Sunday being the start of my weeks now.
Yeah. Okay, so we're all Sunday.
All right.
We're all Sunday peeps.
All right.
Got it.
Any commenters out there
Sunday
thinking
gaming.
it's Monday? We'll come after you. We'll beat the crap out of you.
Exactly right.
Sorry. How was your week?
So far it's been good. Yeah, it's been good. It's had a start to the week streaming with people that I don't usually stream with. I play Sea of Thieves as my main game. I also tend to do a lot of community engagement games and such, but especially at the end of my streams, and I've been working on doing that more recently. And yeah, got a huge week coming up, so
Well, the
trying
new
to take it
Sea of
easy this
Thieves,
week.
new Sea of Thieves update dropped for you, didn't it?
Yeah, see if they another update drops on Thursday, and then drops happen this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I think is a big
Yeah.
one for you, right? So you're a Sea of Thieves
Huge.
partnered streamer, which means
Yeah.
you are one of like I think like a couple dozen that are actually on Twitch who get drops, correct?
There's actually I think there's over 100 of us, but there's the like the spread of streamers. I'm words. The spread of streamers is pretty consistent. And they're obviously of all different sizes, so it can kind of seem like the Sea of Thieves partners just sort of disappear into the background, but they're all there and you'll see them all over drops.
Yes.
Well, yeah, drops has always been a very big thing on Twitch for a lot of different games. And for anyone who doesn't know what drops are, it would be essentially certain streamers are allowed to have drops added to their stream. So in this case, Sea of Thieves partner streamers such as yourself. And if someone who, like myself, who plays Sea of Thieves in their own time would like a special piece of equipment or maybe a special cosmetic or an in-game item, whatever it is, then you can spend time in, say, Mads' stream. And if you spend 30 minutes or so in there, you'll unlock a code that'll be sent to you so you can get the in-game item. That's about right, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's essentially an in-game cosmetic that gets applied to your account. We don't use codes in Sea of Thieves. Essentially, you have to have your accounts linked together, your Sea of Thieves account linked to your Twitch account so that you can transfer the drop across. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Yeah, it happens once every month, once every 2 months for a few days, and everybody's viewership absolutely explodes in that week. Because, I mean, all of the people who don't usually show up on Twitch are suddenly on Twitch for a week.
Do you find
where drops, when drops, hello.
Oh, is it really bad?
It's see, I wouldn't say it's bad. It's consistent.
Right.
You have a consistent stream of people who don't understand the Twitch format, because I mean, you know, regular viewers on Twitch, if they see an exclamation point in a title, will be like, okay, that's a command that I can use to look at something. But people that don't understand Twitch in general will show up to your stream and be like, I don't know what any of this means. So they won't do that.
Yeah.
So they'll just ask you, which is, you know, fine. And that's, you know, part of being a streamer is you deal with chat.
Yeah, it's the same question 30 times.
I remember I was lurking one of your streams the other week where someone had asked you about it, and I think they had just announced the day before about the drops period, and like everyone was getting excited. And I remember like you saying that it's such a big week for you because I think you were saying you're doing like 5 massive days in a row for like the 5 days that the drops are going to be live. And I could see in your face, you're just like, yeah, it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it varies depending on the item that's given away. And you'll see that for everything. Obviously, if a cosmetic item people deem as not that pretty or is not one of the like really coveted ones, then not as many people will show up. But if it's one of the super coveted ones, you'll have thousands of people poking their heads out of the woodwork like, hello, give me the thing. Yeah. But yeah, because I usually stream Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and drops run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Often I'm streaming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday in a row. And this one runs on Tuesday as well. So it's 9 days in a row.
Whoa.
How long is each day for you?
Well, it can be as long as you want. You know
what I mean? Like, what is your average in that?
Oh,
time
my
period?
average. I've cut it down since I started becoming more consistent, which is fantastic, and I highly recommend it to everybody. I stream for between 4 and 6 hours now, as opposed to between 6 and 8, like I did when I was starting off.
Wow.
Yeah, more consistency and branching out to other platforms and like focusing a bit on other platforms has meant that I have been able to take a couple more hours off. Like
Definitely.
actual online streaming, and it's, you know, definitely helped the workload.
Was there like a big shift in terms of Sea of Thieves for you? Because obviously, you know, I'm guessing when you started, Sea of Thieves wasn't your go-to game. Like it may have been a game that you played, but you played a lot of various other things. So what made you go, I want to do Sea of Thieves now? And what made you stick with it? Was it a growth thing? Was it simply that you were having more fun on Sea of Thieves? Yeah, what was your thinking there?
Okay, so I feel like this requires a little bit of backstory as well.
I love it. I'm getting comfortable.
I actually I've been a Nintendo gamer most of my life, and I've been a Nintendo single player gamer most of my life. Mostly Pokemon, because you can never kill a Pokemon fan. We live forever. No matter how bad the games get, you're like, I'm here, I'm ready. Give me the next one. So yeah, like since I was from like 8 until I started streaming, that was pretty much all I played when I started streaming. I started playing Pokemon as well, and a little bit of Borderlands, just, you know, to spice it up a bit. And then I did a lot of just chatting stuff, because part of the joy of streaming to me was talking to other people, and always has been and always will be. Like I love it. I have never in my life spent more than 3 hours on a multiplayer online game.
Wow.
The reason for that is because lobbies scared me so much that I simply did not do it.
Yeah, look, that's fair.
That's very fair.
Nods of approval, nods of understanding.
I never got into it until my mates dragged me into it. That's all it was for me. Like I had to be dragged into it by my mates. I was like, no, I'm happy playing Kingdom Hearts 2.5. I'm okay. And they were like, no. There's this thing called Xbox.
You're not okay.
Yeah, he's
You
like,
need
there's
this
this thing called Xbox Live.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
I think
being
you're
called a
inundated.
squeaker
Once you
in
get
Call of
Call of
Duty?
Duty, once you go on Call of Duty, you are like, it's a baptism of fire. And if you can deal with that, you're kind of like, I'm fine now. I've been called everything underneath the sun, so I'm good.
I went on Xbox once. This is like my mates taught me about it. I went on Xbox once. I was like 13, 14, Xbox 360, Xbox Live, and I was playing Call of Duty 4 by myself, right? And I sucked because I was 13, right? Most 13-year-olds suck. At least they did back in my day, because gaming wasn't mainstream, and I'm old. And I was running around, and there were these Americans in my ear, because again, we didn't have Australian servers back then, so we always had Americans. These Americans in my ear, and I couldn't shoot people, but I was calling out where they were, trying to be helpful. There's a guy coming over this way. There's a guy coming over this way. There's a guy here. There's a guy here. There's a guy here. And there's this really deep American voice. This guy, I think his old username was something called like something Rage. And all I hear in my headset is, damn, this kid can't shoot, but he's a fucking UAV. And he just took me under his wing and just taught me how to play Call of Duty with him and his American friends.
That's
and
awesome.
that's so I was this 13-year-old, and he was just this 25-year-old dude in the US, and he was like, "Damn, son, I'm gonna teach you how to fire that sniper rifle."
I was expecting you to say that, like him going like, "Oh, we got a squeaker on our team."
There was plenty of those too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, and thus started LJ's long and prosperous career as a COD streamer.
Oh, God.
That's me in a nutshell. That's all I do. If you ever come to my stream, I'm just a first-person shooters and just hardcore G Fuel pro gaming, right? That's what I do. That's what I do best.
360 no scopes all day.
Yeah.
Sorry, we interrupted.
That's it.
So you've never done multiplayer, and you were doing Nintendo.
Oh yeah, so I'd never done multiplayer. I dabbled in first person shooters a little bit, just because I thought they were fun, but the scene overwhelmed me completely. And then a couple of friends that I met through Twitch, through a friend's Twitch stream who was a Sea of Thieves partner before me, Coco, and they introduced me to Sea of Thieves, and I got on and started myself and got repeatedly sunk at outposts.
That's a pretty accurate experience,
baby. Unfortunately, and it's really a game like no other. It's so unique in the things that you have to learn. The learning curve is so steep, but once you get it, it's almost like exhilarating, you know? And
it's so fun with friends as well. I feel like it's such a good stream game, because if you can get like 3 or 4 friends, or even just another friend, and you hop on like one of the smaller ships or the big ship, whatever you want, it's just this constant communication.
Yeah.
And there's constant like just chatter and fun stuff, and you can pull off such stupid things like the anchor turns where you do like the full drift of the boat.
Yeah.
Or like you control your mates with the harpoon and like fucking swing yourself around.
It's also
That's the other great thing about Sea of Thieves, really, is because I mean you can have areas of like pretty intense combat like happening one after the other, but often it's, especially if you're really embracing the PvP VE aspects of the game and sticking to one server and just taking what comes, there can be long swaths of sailing, just sailing between one destination and the next, which is breathtaking because the game is gorgeous, but also really fantastic for interaction with chat because you're not distracted by constant PvP. It's not like COD where it's in and out of lobbies just over and over again, or Fortnite where it's pretty much the same. You've got time to grow your community and talk to your community and like grow those relationships with people, and I think that's part of the reason that it's such a great game for me specifically. It's because I love to talk.
Once you go pirate, you can't go back.
You set your own pace with that game. Every time that I see it be played, it's kind of like you can just stick at an outpost and talk to friends and do crazy stuff, get drunk, vomit on each other, that type of thing. You're like, that's funny. But there's also those really intense, kind of like heists and things, where everyone's going for this one boat because I don't know, they've got, you really see Summit 1G. He kind of brought it back into the mainstream because once Sea of Thieves, I remember back in the day when like Sea of Thieves was the thing, everyone was talking about it. There were all these demos online. It was, I specifically remember one kid, it was like being released at midnight around the world globally. And he changed his time to New Zealand time. So he got it earlier than everybody else because it was midnight there. And he started streaming it. And he only had about like 4,000 followers, but there was about like 7,000 people watching him at the time because, it was, nobody knew what it was like. It was like, oh my God, what is this game? And it really is like, seems like such a fun game because you can just hang out in your crew, which I think, do you prefer to hang out with your crew? Like, what's your vibe when you go into Sea of Thieves? Is it like, I want to create content in terms of action-packed stuff, or do you prefer that you get more engagement and more fun when it's kind of like you're talking to your chat, you're talking to your mates who you're crewing with or whatever? Yeah, right. So I think the thing that is so great about the game is that you can get all of that in one stream. You can't force the content, obviously. It has to happen naturally. But part of the beauty of it, and I stream usually with a small crew, either one or two other people. If I find it personally quite difficult with 3 other people in my ear at the same time, giving comms and then talking to chat and then managing, a boat and then managing opponents as well at the same time. That kind of gets overwhelming. So I tend to stick to either 1 or 2 other crewmates. But I think part of the beauty of the game is that the community interactions that you get within the game are so fun. Obviously you get some toxic people because that's unavoidable with games in general.
Fucking Reapers.
But but I've had so many fantastic interactions, and it's not uncommon that you get a super sweaty, like intense fight where it's like down to the last cannonball. And then, afterwards, no matter if you like win or lose, you get a GG's from the other team and you get a like, man, like that was so good. That was so fun. I really distinctly remember a fight that I had where it was a sloop. So 2-player versus a galleon, which is 4-player. I was on the sloop. The galleon team clearly knew exactly what they were doing and sank us, I think, twice. And then the third time because we had them on the ropes.
Doesn't sound like
we did. We had them on the ropes, but the thing about a sloop is that if you get hit at a certain angle, get popcorned off, that's basically like GG's, like you're done. And it happened twice in a row. I got popcorned off, and my teammate got hit in the face with a cannonball and died.
Yeah, it was a close battle.
Yeah, close fight. And then we came back the third time, and I was like, I'm not interested in fighting. Like, my teammate had rage quit by this point. I was like, I'm not interested. Like, I just wanted to come and say GG's. And they were like, nah, man, like, you almost got us a couple of times. So I was like, okay, awesome, sweet, good to know. And then, like, we became friends, and they unfortunately found out that I stream and showed up in my stream, and they've been coming around ever since,
That's awesome.
I think that's one of
It's
the
really
really,
cool.
really powerful benefits of a community online game like that. Like if you're a streamer, picking up a community online game like that has a lot of really powerful moments. Also, there's obviously drawbacks. Nothing ever is perfect, but I think you can make the best of it. And I think the way that Sea of Thieves is integrated with Twitch is a really big sentiment for what game devs can do and can do to really keep their game pumping, right? Because at the end of the day, I think Sea of Thieves early on, it was amazing, but very quickly it did feel like there was a bit of a content drought, which happens with all games, right? But I think Sea of Thieves is the rare game that they were like, yeah, we know there's a bit of a content drought, but you know what? Just watch. And like they put out so much new content, the mermaids, all those things. Like I feel like as a content creator, Sea of Thieves is kind of like this almost perfect game because you kind of no run is ever going to be exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people you interact with, where the ships pop up, whether a megalodon comes after you, whatever it is. And if they do feel the same, you can go do a specific mission or whatever it is. And so it's massive for that. I just have one gripe with what everyone said so far. You guys said you set your own pace. There's, all these things happening. I'm sorry, but I completely disagree. Every time I try sail a boat, I have to go into the wind to get to where I'm going. It is the rule of Sea of Thieves that I have to sail against the wind, and it takes me hours.
Yeah, that's the rule.
I just sit there. I'm just like me and my three mates. When we play this offline, we are just sat there, just playing music while we sail into the wind. And it's very
Yeah.
we love it.
If you have somewhere to go on Sea of Thieves, no, you don't.
It pushes you the other way.
Pick something else and the wind will change.
Something I want
Can we go? Oh, no, you go.
I was gonna say something I wanted to add on to what LJ said. Another, I think, amazing thing, and this is from the dev side, and I think it kind of has helped the Sea of Thieves community grow. And I'm forgetting his name, but he does the weekly videos, like the weekly videos for Sea of Thieves. Like every week, is it weekly or monthly? I can't remember.
All the update videos?
Yeah,
or?
like talking about like recent events or like addressing player concerns, like when a certain exploit has come up. Rare has been really on top of the ball in terms of keeping people informed and being like, hey, we're working on this thing, we're gonna fix this thing that people have discovered. And I think that's been a major part, and I think it's been fantastic because it gives you as a creator confidence that the content is coming. You as part of the community are being heard too. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, from a partner point of view, I can like add to that as well. It's absolutely fantastic the amount of interaction that we get from the devs as a community, especially on Twitter. Like the devs are all extremely active. The podcast does get released and they talk about all the stuff that they're working on updating. The unfortunate side effect of that is that with increased interaction and increased player-based communication comes increased expectation. And our devs are unfortunately quite frequently put under a lot of stress over super minor things because the player base is so used to them like working on fixes all of the time and updating the game all the time that it's like it really puts a lot of stress on them.
I was going to say as well, this is a complete flashback because I remember I did these like interviews back in the day at like E3 and I met Joe Neat, who is the person you're talking about, Nick. I just went on Twitter and we follow each other. So I'm going to give him a message and say,
flex.
yo, this podcast is about Sea of Thieves. Check it out. So I'm going to do that.
What a self-promo.
Yeah, I'll do it. Like, check out the stream rumors. We're talking about Sea of Thieves. I'm not sure if you remembered me. He'll probably unfollow me immediately. But Joe Neat is the person you're talking about.
Joe Neat, that's it. I was trying to remember his name. It was the tip of my tongue.
He's very kind, very lovely guy.
He's amazing. Honestly, the whole dev team have been nothing but astonishing. It is just working with them is fantastic, and I'm so grateful that I get the opportunity to do it. And I will mention this because inevitably, when you talk about anything related to Sea of Thieves, you will get the commenters that are like, well, what about hit reg? We know. Everyone knows. They're working on it.
Dude, I think you're right, though. You're 100% spot on in the sense that the more interactive you are, and bringing this back to Twitch is more of a generalized concept as well, is the fact that YouTube does a lot of things that are very anti-creator in the name of creator support, right? And YouTube and Alphabet are so big as a company at Google. Sorry, Alphabet is Google and YouTube's parent company, if anyone doesn't know.
Right. Okay.
And they're so large and so terrible at communication that they just don't. And because of that, it's actually bred a community of people who don't notice all the terrible shit that happens, all the copyright claims that are going out against the wrong people, all this stuff, all these people who are being hurt and abused because of just systems, right? No one knows about it. But on Twitch, because there's such an aggressive community focus, Twitch themselves aren't always the best at communicating, but they actually communicate a lot more than most platforms, I'd find. Like, when was the last time you saw TikTok posting about certain content creators on their platform on Twitter and stuff or whatever? But Twitch is so trying to be that community platform and focus on that community aspect, and it has such a powerful overall platform community to it, that it means that it's a lot more outspoken. And I think on a smaller form, you're right, with Sea of Thieves and also Destiny and Bungie, these games and these places, when they build up these very passionate communities, they have really good sides where people are really active and supportive, but they also have those people who are really outspoken because they care so much. And I think you're right, like in all aspects of that. But I want to time warp it a little bit for you, Mads. Okay, so you started out, and you obviously Sea of Thieves wasn't your bread and butter back in the day, right? And I kind of want to know, what was the core reason you started streaming? Like, what inspired you to actually hit that go live the first time? Was it the interaction you mentioned?
So I started streaming in November of 2022. And
2021.
those of you who
You're a time traveler otherwise.
2020, sorry.
Yeah.
I started streaming in November of 2020.
Okay.
My bad.
Okay.
And those of you who remember Sydney in 2020, in November, nothing was happening. We were all in lockdown. Everyone was sad and at home and not having social interactions. And as somebody that was before that, a people person, I like hanging out with my friends all the time. Work was a social activity for me. It brings you down.
Yeah.
It isolates you from everybody. And I had, over the previous lockdown, discovered Twitch through a couple of creators who did Pokemon content, because I was super into Sword and Shield at that time. And I just loved the fact that you could not only interact with the creator themselves, but the rest of the chat, and the community, and getting to talk to people. It kind of scratched an itch for human interaction that I wasn't getting,
Right.
So when I decided that I wanted to start streaming, I was pushed to a little bit by a couple of people because they thought that I'd be good at it. But initially it was just because I wanted to talk to someone,
Yeah.
and I didn't expect to have so many someones to talk to ever,
No, I think it was the exact same motivation for myself as well. February 2020, everyone went to suddenly lock down, and we were all just out here trying to find a way to interact. And I think it's a very relatable reason to start. In that first period, right? In that whole time, everything like that, I'd love to know, what is something difficult, right? Because you're saying you kind of discovered Twitch during the lockdown. You got into Twitch during the lockdown, which makes me think that you weren't heavily ingrained in the Twitch culture. You weren't like a Twitch absorber, who knew everything.
I was not a regular Twitch enjoyer, no.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what was like one of the most difficult things or a hard thing as a streamer you had to learn in that first growing period,
Personal space.
Ooh, okay.
I think because obviously, like I said before, work was a social interaction for me, because I was basically a career bartender, and interacting with bar patrons is you get it every night, right? But the thing about that is that it stops when you go home. You pack up the bar, you go home. The difference with being on the internet is that people think that they have access to you 24/7. So setting boundaries, I think, was one of the hardest things to do, especially at the start. And it got so bad at a point that I had to have somebody else reading all of my Instagram messages
Really?
for me. Yeah. And it got to a stage where I was just like, yeah, I can't, I have to delete every single Discord message. I was just like, everything has to go.
Yeah.
Setting personal boundaries was exhausting, because it was exhausting before, and then making the boundaries was exhausting, especially if it's something that you struggle with, to start with.
Yeah.
But then after that, I sort of, it leveled out. I think another thing was setting a schedule, because,
Right.
and actually you helped me with this, LJ, because when I started streaming, and even before I started streaming, I was watching your YouTube videos. As
The
inspiration.
one on the channel that's all about my feet, where I just post feet videos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, I just post. I thought so, because that one gets way more traction than the
I was
other
gonna
one.
so
say,
many
that's in the deep
Yeah, I never
dark,
knew they were so hairy.
deep dark YouTube.
Those
No,
comments
the hairy one,
really
the
get
hairy
girls.
feet of my wife's.
She'll love that. She'll love that.
No, yeah, I was watching stream scheme videos before I even started streaming.
Really?
Yeah.
Before you
because
started?
Sorry?
Before you started?
Before I started, I did my research.
Wow. All right.
Damn.
Hardcore.
Yeah, I sort of set out and was like, look, if I actually want to commit to this, then I want to do everything that I can to succeed.
Yeah.
I don't want to just go fly in blind and just assume that it will go well. So yeah, I did my research.
That's what I was gonna ask as well. Like, and you kind of sort of already answered, was whether you purely just started as, I just want to try it out and have a bit of fun, not really take things too seriously, or if you went in with a kind of a track mind of, yeah, I've seen other people grow and really succeed as a streamer, and I want to have my best shot at trying that. Like, you were going in from the get-go with that mindset.
I think I went in from the get-go with that mindset because I've always kind of had a mindset that if I am going to try something, and if I am going to commit to something, I'm not going to half-ass it. I'm not going to just like dabble, and I think that's just a very common thing that people with ADHD do, is go really, really hard into go really, really hard into one thing, and then burn out. So I was initially, assuming that this would be part of the ADHD cycle, where I would just go and start a new hobby and then do it for 6 months and burn out. And then it took me what I would deem a long time to hit affiliate. I think it took me a month and a half. Which
So many small streamers
seems-
are crying right now.
You know what? I'm with you on that. I think that's a long time as well, because it took me about 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same mindset in the heads that I think that if it takes more than, a month and a half or a month, then I actually do think it is a bit of a long time.
Yeah, it felt like a long time to me, that's for sure, especially after seeing, other people that had started at a similar time to me hit affiliate and make progress and all that sort of stuff. But after, the first month and a half when that happened, I think around month 4 of streaming was when I started playing Sea of Thieves.
I can hold on, I'll confirm for you. Yes, it was
Yep.
month 4, February
Month 4,
2021.
excellent.
Correct.
Number.
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Also, I gotta say, it's actually very impressive. Like, at its core, it is actually very impressive to see your growth ratio. And Reapz touched on it there briefly, saying that a lot of small streamers are crying out in pain. And there are a lot of them that will be like, oh, it's taking me ages. Everyone has their own journey, obviously. Please
Yeah.
don't feel like that. But
No, that was not meant as a remark to
no, you're
put
not.
anybody else down.
I'm the one who's putting people down.
Hot take coming
no.
in.
But I think you and I have a similar mindset in terms of those things, right? In the sense that when I started as well, I deemed it, I wasn't aggressively a Twitch absorber. I was a specific content creator absorber. So I would watch Sips or I would watch Ravs or these people, but I wasn't like intensely ingrained in the Twitch culture. And I actually think that gave me a leg up as a content creator, because I think that I went into it with no preconceived notions. I went into it with my research done. I went into it without pretending to be someone else. I was just myself. You know, I think a lot of people who come into this as small streamers are heavily involved in the Twitch space. And in that case, when they come in, they don't have their own kind of style. They're kind of like mimicking their favorite creators. And it often leads to their content being worse. But your growth is very impressive. And I think everyone would agree that it is, because it's happened quite quickly. And I think the main question I have about that is that, are you personally happy with how fast you've grown over the past, I think you're 14, 15 months now. And I think over the last 30 days, you've averaged 215 average viewers.
I think it's overwhelming.
Okay.
I definitely did not expect it to happen. If you look at my growth, you could say that, and people have said that it wasn't really me that did that growing, because if you look at the times that certain things happened, I got Sea of Thieves partner I applied for the program, I think in August, and I got accepted in September, and then my growth really started to happen then.
Okay.
I was put on the stage, as it were, and my growth really started to happen. But at the same point, if you look at other Sea of Thieves partners that got it in my cohort, I think only 1 or 2 had a similar thing occur out of the 30 or 40 that got Salt partner at the same time I did.
Yeah, and also hot take, anyone who says that to you is an idiot, because they can look at your growth prior to getting partner and see that you did better than 99.999% of content creators. You know, in your first 4 or 5 months before you were a partner, you were getting to 30 to 50, 60 sometimes average viewership on your streams, right?
I was already on the up.
Yeah, like it's the concept of trying to blame it on drops, which is actually something I want to talk to you about this podcast as well. I'm sure there are always going to be detractors like that for you. Like, for example, for myself, I have a lot of detractors who like to say that the only reason I have my viewership is because I started doing streaming coaching. But like, you can see I grew to a certain stage before I did it, right? And I'm not coaching, education. I hate the word coaching. So I have a question for you then about those detractors for you. So drops are going to come this week. And you're probably going to balloon from your average of 200 to 250 to probably about 600 to 800 viewers. Is that about probably accurate?
That is, yeah. Depending on the quality of the drop, it can be anywhere between 600 and 1,000.
Okay. So,
which is very overwhelming.
And then
I always have my numbers turned off.
Yeah, fair. Honestly, everyone should.
Yeah.
Always turn your numbers off.
So here's my question on that. When the drops end, the day afterwards, do you feel like your numbers will go right back to where they were? Do you think you'll hold some? Do you feel like the push for drops that booms you up, does that give you like long-term benefits, or is it purely for that little section there?
You always hold some, you know, like you'll always hold some. And the reason you always hold some is because those people who may not have, you know, gone on Twitch at all will come into your stream and think, hey, I really like this person, and they'll stay. It's not that many, but, you know, you'll always hold some. And I feel like after every single drops, like after every month, my viewership slowly and steadily inclines. Whether that is to do with drops or the natural progression of Twitch, I don't know. And I can't tell. I would like to think it's not 100% to do with drops, you know. I like to think I'm a pretty entertaining person.
I can attest to that. You don't need to think it. I think we can all attest to you're a pretty entertaining person. Just okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're very sociable is what I've noticed. And I think it's something that needs to be brought up, is that you get streamers who obviously they are there and they go for long 15-hour streams so more people can come in and get the drops, and obviously seeing incline because they're like a go-to source. But you have an amazing approach to, you don't miss a chat message. Like, you've got Eljayem.
I wonder where you got your title from, by the way.
Oh, here we
Love
go.
you,
Yeah. We'll go into that. But as Eljayem has a thing of like, obviously, I will not miss any chat message for day 789 or something like that, right?
789 of never missing a chat message.
That's right. And I think that
great.
Mads lives up to that expectation as well with the titles, but you do not miss a message. Like if I type in your chat, even though there's a swarm of people talking to you, you'll be like, oh, hey, Reapz, how's it going? Yeah, da, 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 da. You can see your eyes flickering between, obviously, the gameplay and the chat, literally like you would if you're a learner driver looking at the rearview mirror and everything in a car test, you know? You're very good at it.
This just in Reapz doesn't look at his mirrors now that he's got his license.
Yeah. Just got my life. What are you This is no.
Reapz actually duct tapes over his
This is-
mirrors. He doesn't.
I don't know.
Who needs them?
I'm sure they're fine behind me, but yes.
If they hit you, it's
their
their
problem.
fault.
Exactly.
That's what insurance is for.
Exactly. They're in the wrong, all right? I just brake test a lot. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
It wasn't my fault, officer. He should have seen me coming.
I reversed into him.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, absolutely. Like the streams that I've been able to catch, Mads, it's always been a fun time. And one thing I really, really enjoy is obviously with Sea of Thieves. For those who haven't played or haven't watched a lot of Sea of Thieves, like when you first get on the server, you're starting with nothing. Like you get your boat and you pretty much have your bare bones. So you have to spend time gathering cannonballs and food and like resources for your boat. And
You can buy them now as well.
Oh,
You can just buy all of it.
You could just buy it. True, you just buy it.
And then you just put all the boxes on your boat, get sunk instantly, and then go,
All that money gone.
This seems very personal.
I play Sea of Thieves weirdly
I feel like
a
we've
lot.
touched it.
Yeah. Like, this is one of those things for me. It's like I've never streamed it. It's always been something I've wanted to stream, but I've never had a crew. But I play it a decent amount offline with my mates. Like every time a new expansion drops, we have the same crew who jumps on the boat and does it. And it's such a good experience. And I think what Nick is going to, and I'll let you go, keep going. It does tell a story. Every time you load up, you start with nothing, and it does tell a story that you go on, which is why I think it's perfect content for streaming. Because every single time someone drops by, they don't need to have watched your last 26 episodes of your Let's Play. They're coming in, they know instantly context. You are a pirate, you started with nothing, here is your loot. What are the stakes? You could lose your loot. At any point, you can lose all of it. And in Sea of Thieves, that's going to happen pretty much because everyone just takes you.
Yeah, it is. It's
Not yours until you sell
Yeah,
it.
it's that thing as well of like when you look at kind of like COD and Modern Warfare, well, anything really. As soon as you get the game, you are going to die every single time because people have been playing it, grinding, and they've got better weapons, they've got better attachments, everything like this. While in Sea of Thieves, it's kind of like you're all on even keel. And it's really the skills that you learn that separates you rather than the actual items that you have, which I think is such an amazing thing to have in a game. But I digress.
That's why I love it so much.
Yeah.
When I learned how to
because-
dash with the sword, like the long dash, where you can like do the dash
Through the
jump
water?
and like you do
Yeah.
you can do it on ground as well. It's just harder. When I learned how to do that, it changed my entire like way I played. We'd be like
Absolutely.
in a ship battle, and I'd be like go up to the top deck, and I go to the guard, go to the dash, jump, and like fling myself over onto the enemy ship, die instantly, and it was a good time. But sorry, Nick, I interrupted.
We sang way quicker.
You're all good. You're all good. No, I remember back in the day when there's a I think it was like a slight like bug where you could double shoot. But if you had two guns equipped, you could double shoot really quick and just like instantly kill someone. That was a tactic people used back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like essentially, yeah, you start with nothing and you have to build up those resources, or you buy them. But one thing what I love that you do, Mads, is like you use that as your just chatting segment, essentially. Like while you're gathering those resources, like you can just take that time, that slow pace at the start of your stream to just really have good conversations with people and kind of, you know, catch up with people from the day prior and things like that. And then once you're ready to go, it's like, yep, it goes. And now the story begins. What fun things are going to happen today? And I think it's such a great format for every stream.
It's absolutely. And it's not just good from a streamer point of view because I get to talk to everybody, you know. There's a guaranteed time in my stream where I get to talk to everybody. But it's great from a chatter point of view and from a viewer and from a metric point of view because my chatters know that there is a guaranteed time in my stream that I will talk to everybody. And that is the first hour of my stream. So getting those people in, which can be the initial struggle for a lot of creators, building up that initial, you know, however many viewers before you get to your average, it's quicker as a Sea of Thieves streamer because people know that you will be, well, for me anyway, people know that I will be there and I will be talking to them in that hour guaranteed.
I love that because it's kind of like also you kind of bypass the major problem of creating a just chatting segment at the start. Like most streamers grow from selecting a few games that share a key demographic, right? Like, you know, Pokemon, Zelda, Nintendo games. I play all these and I play them in a certain way. And you'll grow to like, you know, your 5, 10 average viewers. And when you get to that 15 mark, you start thinking, maybe I'll throw in just chatting. And one of the hardest things to do is if you go live in the just chatting category first, then people are like, oh, why does it say they're going live and just chatting? I like watching them play the Nintendo games and people don't rock up as much. So it's like, it's really what you're doing there by going live in the Sea of Thieves category. You're doing the chatting there. It all connects. It's almost like you're completely bypassing one of the major problems that every small streamer has when it comes to connecting with their audience and their viewers. Which is incredibly powerful. You know, by the way, there's going to be a bunch of small streamers who listen to this and their first thought is, I'm going to play Sea of Thieves.
Without a doubt.
It is a brilliant game, and I highly recommend it to everybody, especially OCE streamers. Like, get on, please, get in the OCE servers. We need you.
That's just you wanting to pick on some fresh meat. I know what's happening here.
Totally.
How dare you, Eljayem?
I know you're not a Reaper. It's
You
fine.
got a BM. For
Okay, this is the thing that I will say to anybody that is thinking about joining the Sea of Thieves community is it is extremely beneficial, and unfortunately not enough people do it, to operate on a throwback the little fish matrix.
Don't attack the little guy, right?
If you see somebody that is just doing the story mode, just doing a tall tale, leave them alone. Don't sink them. Let them enjoy the game, because the likelihood is that it's probably their first few hours of gaming, right? I came across the stream went off. It was unbelievable. But I came across yesterday one of the best experiences I've ever had in game, and it was 2 guys on a sloop. I was solo. 2 guys on a sloop that had never played the game before. 3 hours, and they wanted to fight. They wanted to fight me, and I was like, yes, this is the best. This is amazing. They were like, yeah, we have nothing to lose. Like, why not? And they wanted to fight, and they did really well. They still lost, but they did really, really well.
I was by myself. I had my hands tied behind my back, but they did really well.
Afterwards, after their boat had sunk, one of them was still in the water, so I picked him up and I was like, hey, like, are you guys new? And he was like, yeah, we've literally only been playing the game for 3 hours, and I happened to be stacking some like gold vaults. So I gave them the keys. I was like, take these. This is how you do them. This is where you go. Like, take these, go for your life. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, absolutely, I'm sure. Like, you are the rare, amazing person that like we need more of.
Yeah.
I have a theory in Sea of Thieves that if you're sailing around, right, sometimes the people you have to be most wary of are the sloops or any boat that has default of everything on, because I honestly believe there are some absolute pro Sea of Thieves players who just don't put any cosmetics on whatsoever just to flex.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I've got a mate who is Pirate Legend now. He's not good at the game. He got that from time. Don't worry. And he is probably one of the most aggressive people in the game ever. He won't attack newbies, but he's very, very aggressive if he can be, right? And we have to rein him in constantly. Like, we've got to be like, someone get the wheel away from him. But every time we see like someone with no skins or anything like that, he's like, I'm not fucking with them. I'm not doing it. They scare me.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause most of the time it is like a pirate legend or someone who's got like thousands of hours in the game, and they're just like waiting and just waiting for someone to come after them so they can show the difference.
Oh yeah, they're
power.
waiting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's terrifying.
Or if they have a merchant flag, if they're a merchant and it's like grade 3 or above, you can look at them and be like, all right, they have run out of things to do in this game because they're grinding merchant commendations. So be careful because they will ruin your life.
You have to go like do all sorts of stuff. But like one of the merchant ones in particular is go capture chickens and pigs and stuff like that, and then sail them to a very specific island, which is just always again against the wind, and it takes hours upon hours. And that is a true Iron Man mode to play as a merchant. Must be great content though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
So I want to talk to you about your titles, Mads. A particular title that I see on yours a lot. First question.
The I read every chat message title.
Yeah. Any inspiration for that? kind of noticed it
Do you want me
started around a
to? Do
certain
you want me
time.
to sign it for you, LJ?
I just sitting here, maybe pointing it out. Thought it was an interesting concept to see.
It is. It's a fantastic concept. Obviously thought up entirely by me. Like I had no inspiration.
Yeah. I'm going to cut this bit out apart from you saying it's your idea, Mad. So this is good.
Yeah.
This is all cut.
I have a follow-up question on this though, right? So here's a follow-up question on that. I cycle through about 12 titles. I've got things like 8 out of 10 chatters recommend the stream, day X of reading every chat message. I never miss a message. I bet you I won't miss this message. All sorts of stuff. I got like a bunch of other ones, right? And then when it's a game, I'll try and make a pun for it. Something I've noticed for you is that you reuse a lot of the same like 2 or 3 titles unless something specific is going on, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the time that is people often get told never do that, right? Never reuse the same one. It's not interesting and stuff like that. And I'd love to know your thoughts on how you operate on your titles, why you choose to use kind of specific, consistent ones, and just generally get your take on it.
I've been trying to err on the side of using a few more stream titles recently because I actually met a girl at that Twitch thingy, the thingy.
Twitch to it, yep.
Yeah, that who said something really funny. She was like, oh yeah, I was just loading into the game at an outpost, and then I looked over and I was like, oh my god, some pricks nicked my boat. And I was like, can I use that as a stream title? And she was like, absolutely, you can.
That's great. Amazing accent, by the way. Truly top notch. I can't believe you can do a New Zealand accent so well.
Okay, damn it, LJ. You gotta
I'm
stop
glad you
going away
noticed
to guess.
that my Texan accent was perfect. But yeah, so I cycled through that for a couple of weeks where I was like, some prick nicked my boat, and I was then like, still can't find my boat, and then the next day was like, found my boat, and then the viewership went up. It was unbelievable.
That's great. Telling a story in titles. That's actually fantastic.
Yeah, literally. But something that I actually notice quite frequently on the Sea of Thieves category is that people stick to the same few titles. For example, if I were to look at Summit 1G's title, I can probably guarantee it would have the word tuck in it. It would be probably the first word. Same with Pace. Like a lot of us reuse our titles, and it's kind of because if you're scanning the list of names and streamers, and if you're looking for your favorite one, then they'll, if they have the same title, you'll recognize them and you'll click on it. You'll be like there. The reason that I use the I don't miss a chat message one specifically so much on Sea of Thieves, love you LJ, thank you, is because not many other people do.
Yes.
Most other people's are like PvP, reaping, stealing loot, tucking, all this sorts of stuff. And if you want, like, I do a lot of PvP. Like, I am more PvP focused than I am PvE focused. That being said, it's much rarer to have a streamer that will guaranteed interact with you than one that will guaranteed steal someone else's stuff.
And people want to prove you wrong. That's what I get a lot of. I get people coming in.
People want to
like,
prove you wrong. Yeah.
You're gonna miss this one. And I go, hey, Booty Man 69 with 2 Ys. I don't miss shit.
Yeah.
And then
Especially in like Sea of Thieves, which is like an online multiplayer game as well, which is it's even more exciting of the prospect of that. Wow, they don't miss a single message, and they're playing online, so they have to shift their entire focus away.
I think it's a really good title, and I was very excited when I came up with it. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This is a conversation I've been having with a lot of people lately. I used to live the concept of come up with a new engaging, different piece of content every night. Come up with a new engaging piece of gameplay. Come up with a new title, new go live. Keep people interested. Keep coming up with new content.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting, but also I've found that sometimes it isn't in the same category as I give the advice you should niche into a series of demographics or a series of games that fit a demographic. It's interesting because I've always also said that schedules are so consistent. We are creatures of habit as viewers, right? Every time as a human being, we have only a certain amount of time a day where we're going to have to do certain things to view. I'm going to watch Twitch, probably for me personally. I'll watch Twitch in the mornings because that's when most of the streamers are on. That's when I'm at work and I can chuck it on. I'll watch YouTube at night. I'll watch Netflix at like midnight. You know what I mean? Like I have these times where I can watch these things, right? So I've learned recently that I feel like sometimes it is better to just be consistent in all regards. Because if someone gets into the habit of clicking 8 out of 10 chatters recommend this stream, right? Or he's back, or I never miss a message, or something like that. Well, then the click worked. And as long as they arrive, when they arrive, they feel like it's worth it, then it's fine, right? It's almost like it's good. Now, I'm not saying everyone should do that. I think it's just an interesting take that you should look into as a content creator. If you're changing content too much, it switches. And maybe if you're changing your title too drastically, it might switch. So it's been an interesting thing. And I think you helped me realize that by looking at your content.
I actually think what made me realize that initially was a content creator that I have been watching since I was 17. The Game Grumps. So I've been watching them for a very, very, very long time. And over the last year, they have started changing their video titles and their video thumbnails to be less consistent and to have less episode 1 or episode 2 in their titles. And I feel lost sometimes when I'm looking for the episode that I'm up to, or when I'm looking for a certain segment, I struggle to find it because the thumbnails are all so different and the episode titles are all completely like a little bit out of left field. And when I was like looking for a specific episode one day, I was like, do people struggle like this when they look for certain bits of my content?
Interesting.
And that's when I started making my titles more consistent.
So
Because I was like, if people know that it's the same kind of vein as it was yesterday, then they know where to look. And they know what they'll find.
something you're mentioning there in a way. So I don't know where this started. I don't know if there's a real name for it personally, but when I realized this as well was early on in Stream Scheme. Because early on, I started getting a bunch of traction with my first like 10 to 15 videos or whatever. And then I released another video and my thumbnail style was completely different. And it had the lowest CTR. It was terrible. It barely performed, right? And I changed the thumbnail over to the consistent branding, just like changed it back. It wasn't very fancy. Boom, instant spike in CTR. And I had a realization that people didn't realize it was my video when they saw it in the grand scheme of things, right? And so I've copped flack over the last 2 years on Stream Scheme for being like, I'm going to use the same 20 headshots. I'll switch them up every now and then. And I'm going to use the exact same style. Blue on the left, text, image, face, right? Like consistent all the time. And I did this because of something shocking, Minecraft YouTube. So Minecraft YouTube, look at Dream, look at Tommy Innit, look at any of these guys. They all use the exact same thumbnail, right? And it's just consistent every single time. It's consistent. You know what you're getting. So if you liked a video and another video appears on your screen that looks exactly the same as that other video, then there's a high chance you're going to click it because you, A, trust the algorithm subconsciously, and B, you had a positive reaction to the first one, so you're likely to follow on to the next one. And I called this momentum branding. And that is the idea that if you consistently do it, you'll build momentum. And everyone who has a positive experience will click. And everyone who has a negative experience will still click because they want to hear what bullshit you're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Human beings are creatures of habit, regardless of if it's a positive or a negative experience, which is super wild. If they really, really hate you, they'll come back just to hate on you more. And if they love you, they'll come back. They'll click the same thumbnail and come back every time because they know that they associate that face, the image in that certain location, the colors now with a certain experience, and it almost becomes Pavlovian.
Yeah.
They know what they're going to expect. And we're so pushed, I feel, especially now, to come up with something new, come up with something innovative every single time. It's like the world, we have to feel like we're on the cutting edge of everything. But in reality, like, people still watch TV. They watch the same episode. They watch the episodes of their favorite TV show over and over again.
And I think that push actually ruins a lot of Twitch streamers. So
Absolutely.
Here's my thing about Twitch streams. I think on YouTube, you need to be consistent with your branding and stuff like that, but you need to adapt and evolve to a certain extent because you can't watch the same video over and over and over again, right? You can't really. Well, I've watched every single donkey video ever, and I think I've watched every single one maybe 4 times. To be fair, I'm a massive fanboy, but like you get what I'm saying, right? You can't just release the same video over and over. You can do it with the branding and everything. That's fine, but on Twitch, I actually think you can kind of do the same content pretty consistently because no stream and interaction will ever truly be the exact same. I think as long as you, don't just sit there and do the same 10 talking points, you're okay. But at the same time, the push to constantly adapt what is working on Twitch and feel judged if you don't is actually a really damaging concept. So I saw a lot of growth in the Valheim category and it was working really well. I'd go live, do some just chatting. I'd do a mansion tour and then I'd play some Valheim, right? And that was like my little thing. I did that for about a month. I got 1,000 followers in Valheim and I got like 2,000 followers in the just chatting section. People loved the mansion tours. I was getting like 150 go live clicks. It was great. And then I felt like I had to retire the mansions because what if they were getting old? What if I was doing them too much? And I actually saw a big drop in my average viewership. And then I tried to come back to the mansion tours, but it was too late. And I had a realization that if I'd kept doing that React content and that style and kept doing those things, and I was doing it all fair use, and it probably would have done much better for my channel, and I would have been able to sustain that growth better. But the pressure from other people and other voices out there made me stop doing it and made me shift up my content a bit because I was scared and worried that I'd get boring or that I'd be judged. And the exact same thing happened on YouTube as well. On YouTube, really consistently using the same headshots, right? And it worked really well. Same branding, same everything. And then people started being like, why are you using the same one? Why are you using the same one? And I thought maybe I'll change it up. Changed it up, boom, CTR tanked. And it's like you have to work so hard to push that cutting edge, put like that feedback to break what's working. When the reality is, if it's not broken, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can stick to it. And I think that's really impressive for yourself, Mads, because I think with your content, you do a really good job of maintaining that consistency that people love while still making every single experience different, which I think, yes, it comes down to the game we've talked about, but I also think it's you as a creator have a very good way of doing that with your interactions. So I don't know. I think it's interesting.
I think there's a thing
It's extremely-
called... sorry. You go, Mads.
No,
You're the guest.
You want me to go again?
I feel like it's extremely important to, at the end of the day, remember that whilst we are, as content creators, slaves to an algorithm, at the end of the day, the people that consume our content are not robots, they're human.
I love this.
And what they want is so much more important than what an algorithm wants.
Yes, thank you. This is a digital marketing saying. You appeal to the human, right? That's what it is. You appeal to the human because if the human enjoys it, the algorithm will say, we want more of this because the human is enjoying it. You appeal to the human. This is like something you learn in day one of affiliate marketing. That is brilliant.
Chef kiss. There's a thing I think called comfort viewing, which people don't really realize that they're doing. You'll get this in everyday life. Somebody will go, I recommend that you watch this. And you go, okay, I'll watch it. You go home, you turn on Netflix and you go to that exact program that they're saying. And then you're like, I got to learn a whole new thing. I got to learn new relationships. I got to learn new different ways of shooting. And then you're like, you know what? I just will watch another episode of The Simpsons, which I know that I will enjoy. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to streamers as well, is that when you do get a raid, you've got a whole different community that are watching a completely different streamer because every streamer is, cliche, unique. But when they come over, it's very hard. And I think a lot of people find themselves down. It's like, I didn't get many follows or the people didn't come back the next day. And they wonder to themselves, why is that? Is it something wrong with me? No, as we were saying, people are creatures of comfort and they want to go back to the thing that they know guaranteed 100% will give them that serotonin, will give them everything that they want, that dopamine, everything, and be like, yes, that is what I want to see. So it really is that thing of if you are consistent and you have that schedule and you know that the streamer that you like is going live at this time, you are going to grow so much more than if you do sporadic days and just turn up on like, I usually stream on Tuesdays, but today I'm going to stream on Wednesday. It's a thing where it's like you have to kind of stick to it so people know when to come and why they want to come.
Yeah. And it also touches on what Mads talked about sort of near the start about how you shifted your stream times, like the total stream time to 4 to 6 hours from the longer times. And I think that, and it also kind of creates that little bit of FOMO for people coming towards the end because like, I have to make sure that I get there earlier tomorrow so that I can watch more. And it kind of creates that, you get that initial view, you kind of hit your average a lot quicker. And then you kind of hold those viewer numbers for the like your entire 4 to 6 hours. And I think that definitely works a lot better having that consistent start, but also the consistent end time as well within, you know, that kind of little area.
It's super interesting. This podcast so far has been my absolute favorite to talk about because I think we're covering some really different topics. I think in a different way that a lot of people don't realize as creators, that kind of routine falls outside of the schedule and everything like that. But I want to go back to your experience, Mads. So you're a Sea of Thieves partnered streamer, and I'm assuming you have a certain number of hours that you have to do for Sea of Thieves every single month. You can tell us if you want, but I don't mind if you don't have to. But I'd love to know, on top of that, how do you go in other categories now? Because Sea of Thieves is obviously, as you said, you have a very just chatting kind of vibe, and your interaction is very heavy. So if you were to switch to a different category, because of that interaction, do you feel like they come across with you?
I spend the starts of my stream on Sea of Thieves, and I do that because, and it's frustrating to say that I don't know. I don't know. I don't trust. Well, it's not that I don't trust myself. It's more that I am an insecure human being who fears, who fears losing that grasp on my viewership.
Hey, how you doing?
By
Been
switching
there.
category.
Every content
Sorry?
creator, yeah.
I said
Yeah,
been
literally.
there. It hurts.
Yeah.
It is hard. How about this? I'll tell you a piece of advice for that. The best way to get over that is to completely outside of your current stream schedule, add another stream to it, and then do something completely different as a collab. That is 100% the best way to break out of that fear, because if you go live outside of your schedule, it doesn't affect your other streams. If you go live outside of your schedule with other people, it doesn't matter if not a single fucking person rocks up, because as long as the other people's communities even have a few people, you can interact with each other, you can chat, you can bounce, and you all share each other's community. So it's less, like a struggle. I'd say if you are wanting to break out of it, you should look at doing some streams outside of your normal schedule.
That's really smart.
With other creators, because it's so much more comfortable, right? If I went live on a Monday, when I was scared and I wanted to do Monday morning streams, one of the first things I did was I went live with Reapz, Iona, and Kresman, one of my mods, who's also a small streamer, and we played Mario Party, right? I had a decent average, had a pretty good average, but also I didn't need it. I was just playing Mario Party with my mates, and I wasn't ever looking at my viewers because they were off for starters. And I knew chat was slow, but I was like, chat could be slow because I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to these guys in this collab, right? And so, I could still have heaps of viewers. And I had a really good viewership on that Monday, but I was just so stress-free.
I think you've touched on a really good point there, LJ, because recently I did this, not to the extent of I'm planning this out, but I had like co-streams with like Fastfee and Geef and things like that, and like Hexdef, and they were like, we stream at night times. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll stream at night times too. Still that nerves of just like, this is so far outside of my schedule. Like everyone that I know is probably asleep or whatever. But I probably had the best viewership and the best kind of fun because there was no expectations. It was a free time. It was a time that I didn't have like, this is my usual average here. It was this thing of like, I'm now in the game. I'm now communicating with other creators, having a blast doing it. And I got raided by people who I usually raid, who are on after me. And now they're finishing up and go, oh, they always raid me. Let's raid them back. And it just went boom, 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 boom. And obviously not every stream's going to be like that. There's going to be some that's like, oh, I wish that went better. But it was one of the best things that I ever did, not planned, to actually stream with other people, collaborate, and then just grow from there. So yeah, I highly recommend what you said.
You popped off on that stream.
Really fantastic. Yeah, you did. You did so good.
Yeah,
What stream?
I was there. I was lagging. The Fastbee one.
The Fortnite.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, the Fortnite one.
Yeah. I didn't talk too much because I was
Yeah.
kind of like just like vibing for a bit before I had other stuff to do.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy shit, Reapz is live and going ham, and he's popping off.
It was funny because I just watched Morbius. Don't watch Morbius, and that's my takeaway. Thank you. Moving on.
I remember
you
that whole
look a little like
conversation we
Morbius.
had when we rated in. That was
Oh my
fantastic.
god, you just ripped into that movie. It was amazing.
And you, if you see it, you'll also be on board with that. But it's back to you. I was going to ask as well. You were just saying beforehand, and of course, let me know if you want this cut out. But you're going back into doing university. And I was just wondering, how do you find the split between, obviously, you've got to take a lot of time doing a master's and knowing that you have to stream at nights? Is that something that's kind of in the back of your mind, or are you just kind of like, What is your priority at the moment? Obviously, university, obviously getting that master's is the number one priority. But do you see streaming as something that goes hand in hand, or do you see it as this is a means to a different end?
Well, let's look at the problem.
Okay.
And the problem is that, I haven't started my master's yet. I start in August. But the problem is that because a master's assumes that you have a 9 to 5, it doesn't assume you have a 5 to 10. So that means that the master's courses are all scheduled during my regular stream time. I am going to have a large problem coming up quite soon. Which is why I think I will be doing what LJ has suggested and doing some streams outside of my regular stream time soon, because I might have to change it, which is a daunting prospect to any content creator.
What's your new time you're expecting?
Probably like 11
a.m. Australian Eastern Standard.
Yeah, a.m. Yeah.
Interesting.
I might have to do that.
That's the time you're going to switch to?
I think I'll have to switch to a couple of those. Yeah.
Screw it, man.
Either 11 or
LJ will come on as your new cabin boy. All right,
Oh my God.
we'll do a collab easy in the morning sometime, and I'll be your cabin boy, and I'll pretend to be really bad. I'm actually really good, but I'll pretend to be really bad, obviously.
Of course.
And I'll be your cabin boy, and we'll just throw some stuff on the books. And if you want to come if you want, but I'm just not inviting you right now. And then you don't have to worry, right? Like we'll just come together as a bunch of ANZ streamers. Like this is what I think.
That sounds fun.
Because I think the core problem you're having there is very easy to solve, because I think your audience will follow you across. I think your time zone.
The issue that I had initially was a time zone related issue as well, because I was focusing a lot on the late night Americans, and the late night Americans were very upset when the Australian government decided for the however manyth year running to not get rid of daylight savings. And, even an hour at that particular time can be detrimental, because, if with the late night Americans, I've stopped streaming start streaming usually at 2 a.m., but now I'm starting at 3 a.m. A whole bunch of them have already passed out. They're gone. They're out.
My viewership graph is a spike upwards, and then it kind of like has like a skate park kind of ramp, and it ramps right back up at the end. And the whole concept is Australian and Europe jump on and watch me. As it goes, Australians start to fall asleep, Europeans go to work, America starts to wake up, and then I get that big boom. And every time daylight savings happens, that whole thing shifts either forward or backwards. It's just the exact same graph every single time. And it's almost like I need a raid right there in the middle. Otherwise, I'll always have that dip. Because I also do just chatting into a game, and I think that's pretty natural.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The daylight savings is brutal. I don't think many people realize how brutal that actually is.
So brutal.
I saw two ANZ streamers who were averaging 150 viewers each. Daylight savings hit, and then for the first 2 hours of their stream, they were averaging 20. 2 hours in, they'd suddenly get right back up to like 100 to 130 average viewers.
Good grief.
Yeah. It is
Because they just had that key demographic.
Yeah, I have to start earlier because of it. I usually start 11 a.m. and then with the shift, it's like, well, it's 10 a.m., which means it starts there, and they shift as well. So it's not just us. It's like they're going forwards or backwards, and then we're going forwards, backwards. It makes a 2 hour shift. Anyway.
Yeah, because a lot of those, like they're transitioning into daylight savings and we're coming out of it, and then vice versa. Obviously,
so there's like
it's
a
like
big 2 hour gap of like fuck. But sorry.
Yeah. I've I
don't think there's any solution to stuff like that other than just naturally being okay with it. That's the reality, I think, because you don't control it, right? I think there's a lot of stuff in content creation that you can't control, and something that I think a lot of content creators have to learn. So one of the things I respect the most about you, Mads, is the fact that almost every person who gets partner, and you probably have heard me say this before, that every person who gets partner instantly loses like half their viewers within the next week. You didn't. You've been very consistently kept going, which I think is I have huge respect for. And I think that just comes down to the fact that you have a very solid consistency, and I think that comes down to your core content doesn't change. It's what people like, and what people like. And here's my question. Do you feel like your experience as a bartender, and I know this is a weird question, really helped as a streamer?
Absolutely.
kind of is the exact same job.
My interactions with human beings at a situation where I am in control of what they are here for. And sometimes you have to do a little crowd control.
Yeah.
But on the whole, you are catering to who is in your bar, when they are in your bar, and during different stages of brain deadness. You and them.
Because to be fair, let's be fair, Twitch chat are a bunch of just pretty much just a bunch of drunks.
Yeah.
And you got the varying levels of drunk. You got the wine drunks that come in. You've got the red cordial
drunks.
level.
Oh my God.
Yep. You've got the red cordial drunks that come in. You're like, you're clearly 17. You shouldn't be in the bar yet.
Definitely.
You know, they've asked, I'd like to buy a vodka cruiser, please. Get out.
Get out. I just imagine.
cruisers
How dare you? Vodka cruises are delicious.
I imagine Mads on like a drops, just going, you've had enough drops. You need to leave. And just telling her to get out of here. You've got your decal. Get the hell out. Yeah.
Me, honestly, a drops night is like you leave the bar. You're at a festival now. Like there's dirt everywhere. Like you're standing on one of those panels on the floor. Like there's a fridge behind you that's half working. There's like some beers in it. You know, it could be anything.
That is every festival I've ever been to, at least.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
But you get
People are coming up to the counter and their eyes are looking in 3 different directions, and you're like, fantastic.
You're gonna get the same sort of people. Like in a bar, you're gonna get like the old dude coming and going, my third marriage is falling apart now. I'll take a heavy whiskey tonight. And then you get the same people coming into the Twitch chat as well. You know, like saying the exact same things.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I think it's so
100%.
interesting. So I actually didn't know you were a bartender until this podcast, which might be bad of me, but I actually didn't know that. That was really, really interesting. I think it says a lot because I think that everyone kind of a lot of the time, the people who naturally fall into this and grow in that first like year or so, I find they tend to tell me like, oh yeah, I had this this history or this job or this career or this thing that I did that it naturally gave me a lot of experience engaging with people right outside of those things. And I think that just really speaks volumes to how much you can push yourself outside your comfort zone outside of being a content creator before being a content creator and how much it helps. And so I thought it was really, really, really cool. Can I ask, is there anything else that you feel like might set you apart, right? Now you've been doing this for a while, okay? You've probably seen, you said you researched, so you've probably seen a lot of content out there about what's for streamers, what's going on. You probably know a lot more about Twitch, and you probably have seen a lot of content creators come into this industry now.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you feel like might set you apart from what other content creators who are coming in and trying to grow? Because there is a clear difference. No one can say there isn't a clear difference in your growth and your natural pickup on this, especially because you have no external funnels. Like literally, other than Sea of Thieves, you know, if they came in 6 months ago, which you grew before that, you have no external funnels.
I think, and you touched on it right at the start, is that because I had such a limited interaction with Twitch from the get-go, the thing that really sets me apart from other people that try to start streaming is that I never pictured myself as wanting to be ex-streamer 2.0. I never had somebody that, because I mean, I've got a whole bunch of streamers, you know, I could list them off the top of my head that I'm like, oh my God, I idolize you so much and I would love to be like you, but I don't want to be you. You are right here, literally. You are one of them.
You should aim
You
higher.
are on that list. Like there's a whole bunch of streamers that like, I want to be like, but I don't want to be them. And that's, I think, something that a lot of people can really get caught up in, is that they want to be the next Summit, or they want to be the next XQC, they want to be the next Point Crow, you know, they want to be the next Small Ant, they want it just, they get so fixated on becoming like somebody that they forget that the product that they are selling is themselves.
I did this as well. We talked about this last week on the podcast as well, that I said that I felt like I did this, is that I was pushed so heavily, right? I got to that 200 average viewers and I got pushed so heavily that I was told that I need to do other things or certain things to grow or what I need to do. And I listened to all this stuff from Devin, who I really respect. I'm not saying I'm not. And I listened to all this stuff by Ludwig, and I listened to all these things and got told how I had to be a content creator in a certain way. And I changed everything, and it fucked me. Like, it ruined me, like actually ruined me. Whereas if I had just kept doing what I was doing, where I was just going live, I was doing stupid content ideas, and I was playing whatever game I felt like I could play and chat to people, I would have done so much better. And it's going to take me a long time to grow back what I think was about 130 average viewers that I lost. Because now I'm getting 100 to 130 depending on the night. Whereas before I was doing 200 to 150. And I think that loss of 100 to 120 will take me probably years. I honestly believe it will take me years to grind it back up to where it was. And once you lose them, it's very hard to bring them back. And I think I lost them for what you're saying, is I was pushed and told, you have to do these things a certain way. When in reality on Twitch, the most powerful tool you have is the fact that you as an individual are unique. No one else is like you. You are bringing your own stories and interests, and you need to just vibe on that.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say...
Don't lose yourself.
Yeah.
Don't lose who you are to content creation, because falling into the algorithm and always trying to be like somebody else, like, you will never be them. You 100%. Will never, if you endeavor to be like someone else so hard that people will just say you are like that person. And then, you know, if they're recommending you, they'll be like, oh, you know, he's like Summit. They'll go watch Summit instead.
Yeah.
Because Summit's name's already out there.
Yeah.
He's already huge.
It's like,
you know?
why be the next Summit when you can be the first yourself? You know what I mean? Like when you can set the trends. And that's what I was going to ask as well is with Sea of Thieves, you know, that is your go-to game and you really enjoy playing it. Can we get like a kind of behind the scenes of, is there any times that you go, actually, I don't really feel like playing Sea of Thieves tonight, but I know that that's what is expected of me? Do you feel that there's that pressure of, okay, I'm going to play it, but, you know, in the back of your mind, it's like, I'd prefer to be doing this?
Well, fortunately, because there's so much variety in the game, I very rarely feel like that, which is
that's great.
Exceptionally convenient.
It's lovely.
And it's so convenient. I actually do, like, there's times that I do want to play other games. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Pokemon, but the unfortunate thing about the way that I play Pokemon is that it's not particularly engaging to watch. So for me, Pokemon is something that I always have to play off stream because I am so bad at it. Despite the fact that I've been playing it since I was literally 8 years old, I'm terrible, and no one wants to watch the way that I play Pokemon.
It's never stopped me.
Yeah.
I don't use status moves. I refuse to use status.
Oh,
moves.
you want to? I used to be that way too, but then you know what? I've changed and I've start using some non-damaging moves. Right?
Sounds
Sometimes
like you're
you gotta
weak.
adapt. Yeah,
That sounds like you're weak. You need to go harder.
Sounds like you're leaving yourself open for all shot, but
LJ,
okay.
do we have to settle this?
The best defense is a good offense. You know who said that? I did. All right, and
Scott.
I've never lost a Pokemon game. I mean,
you looked away when you said something, LJ. Did you pick
Yeah,
up?
what was that? What was
I can't. It's for audio. I need to pick it up.
I've never lost a Pokemon game that I'm gonna tell you about.
Of course. Yeah.
I guess
I don't know. I think sometimes it's good to keep your favorite stuff off stream.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
I do.
I do. I think sometimes if I really love something, so I've got this thing, right? When I was in high school, as I said, gaming wasn't mainstream. Dragon Ball Z and anime and all these things, they weren't mainstream either, right? All that stuff classified you as a fudging loser. Like that was just the reality of it, right? It wasn't until like grade 10 when all the cool people started getting into Xbox 360, Xbox Live, that I suddenly was no longer the weirdo, right? I was now the guy that was pretty funny and also did these things, right? And my whole group of mates were into this like early on, right? And then, so I never told people what I liked, right? And that was after high school. In university, again, I never told people what I liked because I felt like if I told someone, hey, I really like this show, a lot of the time they'd just be like, that's kind of a shit show, right? And I feel like that coming into Twitch, sometimes I need to reserve what I feel and like some of the things that I like the most, because otherwise people just rip it to shreds, right? I'm not going to play my favorite games on stream a lot of the time because I don't want to have to listen to people being like, I've kind of find like this game's a bit shit, to be honest. which is hilarious because I also am very critical of games on my stream, but I'm not critical of games while someone is in my stream playing it, saying how much they love it.
Yeah.
But I think you're fine. I think keeping Pokemon off stream is fine for you. Although you should try it out. Maybe add a Nuzlocke or a randomizer.
If you're scared of streaming Pokemon because of the way you play, I don't think that's like, I honestly think you should try it. But if it's like you want to keep Pokemon as this sacred thing that's just yours, because as soon as you do put it online, as LJ's saying, as Nick's saying, everyone has their opinions and everyone's like, you're playing so bad. Why didn't you go this way? Why didn't you blah, blah, blah. And that's why I keep some games offline, because I just don't want people going, you're so bad in the chat. Just to like, irk me up. It's like, I don't enjoy playing this and I don't enjoy this stream. So keep it as what it is.
Yeah.
It's Destiny 2.
A game that I would absolutely love to play on stream is Dead by Daylight. I've been into Dead by Daylight for a couple, probably as long as I've been into Sea of Thieves, actually. I've got less hours on it, but I absolutely adore Dead by Daylight. I've always been a horror game fan before went... Really?
Yeah.
Before I went hardcore into Sea of Thieves, the game directly that I was playing before that was Alien Isolation. Ooh. And I ran through that twice on stream because I loved it so much. Yeah. Brilliant game. Oh my god. Having viewer interactions where they can make alien noises in Did
you have Twitch controlled for Alien?
No, where they could God, I wish that would have been incredible.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Just listening to them bang through a pipe. It's like, you guys, you'll figure it out together eventually.
And then Booty Man 69 just pops out. It's me, the Twitch chatter.
All the time.
Oh my god. No, they had set control over the sound alerts. Right. Of them coming through pipe, like it going through the vents or popping out, or the little like alien clicking noises that it would make.
Right.
And
I love that. That's what I did with Phasmo as well.
I gave
them all the Phasmophobia scares, and then
it sucks. It's the best.
It sucks, but yeah, it's the best. Like it's such a fun way to play a game.
On that, I took that a step further. Is I added a couple of the ghost hunt noises to my GoXLR, and I would play when I played with other people. I would play them through the microphone.
I did this to Reapz. I spent an hour fucking with Reapz while we were playing together. I'd be like, can you hear that? Can you hear that? He goes, yeah, is it coming? Is it coming? We'd be like in the van and he'd be listening to the heartbeat. And I'd be like, it's the best thing ever.
What is this? So much. Here I am trying to trust myself with another streamer, and this is how I remember. By the way, when we did that Phasmophobia stream, we did so many jokes about Will Smith, and if only we did it 2 weeks ago, we would have had... Dude. Anyway, moving on.
It was good. I did the exact same thing to Reapz, and he was I hated it because after about 45 minutes to an hour of me doing that slowly, I did it, and he goes, "Hold on, is that you?" And I was like, just laughing, just trying to stifle a laugh, and my chat was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh my god,
that's amazing. One thing I'd love to ask Mads. So earlier you said that you have ADHD, and I'd love to know, like, sort of talking about sort of neurodiversity a little bit. Is content creation it can be very stressful, very full on. There's a lot involved with content creation, and as someone who also has ADHD, like how did you navigate content creation with that? Because it comes with its own set of struggles and challenges.
Like starting content creation?
Yeah, just kind of starting and sort of how, and over time, how did you, with obviously ADHD, you kind of, it's hard to focus, and your focus shifts very, very frequently, and sort of, how did you kind of navigate the content creation journey sort of while also having ADHD as well? And did it affect you much, or do you kind of you just kind of easily adapted to it, or?
It's definitely interesting because I feel that my ADHD, I mean, everyone is different, but mine presents in a way that seems a little bit uncommon. I mean, it could be, it's just like a direct interaction with having like severe like anxiety and stuff as well. But, I hate being late. And something that I notice about a lot of my friends who also have ADHD who stream is that they're late a lot. But I think the real difference, right? Because I have been unmedicated now for 3 years. I stopped taking my meds after my last exam at university because, it's a toll on the brain. Like, basically being forced to focus for that long is a toll on the brain. And it's very much about taking advantages of the waves of inspiration, but not taking so much advantage of them that you basically use them as you're surfing a solar flare and careening into the sun, Like, it's very... use the inspiration while you have it, edit a few YouTube videos, write down some ideas of stuff that you want to do in the week. And then when that time comes later in the week where you lack that inspiration, refer to said list, refer to I am a list maker.
We all are on this
all,
podcast. We're obsessed with it.
If I go
Every
onto my
week-
phone right now, there's about probably 17 different lists from the last 2 weeks.
I just got a new app for listing. You guys want to hear my new app for listing?
Sure.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your new app for listing.
Ooh, it's a good app for listing. I might switch it out to next week for a different app because I'm still toying with it. But I got one called Mind List.
Okay.
All right. And the way it works is Mac and iPhone syncs between both my laptop and that. Okay. I can set up like multiple different lists. Okay. And inside it, and then I put all my tasks in there, and then I change them to like they can be reoccurring when they appear, stuff like that. So essentially, I've made a list for Stream Scheme, for a new project, for Twitch, for TikTok, all these ones. And then I've put all these to-do tasks that reoccur, and I've changed them. This one reoccurs only on Wednesdays. This one reoccurs Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. This one is only on Mondays. So I script everything on a Monday morning. Oh, now I film in a Monday afternoon. Okay. And then I've got my chore list, which repeats daily. Okay. And all these lists, what they do is they have all the tasks on them. And then every morning when I sit down with my coffee, I open up my MacBook to prepare. I open the Mind List and I click what's called my daily list or my inbox. And it pulls up and says, here are all of the tasks that you've scheduled for today. I add in any specific tasks. So for today, I had to wait for an electrician to rock up. So I add that in. And then what happens is I've also set all of my tasks to be different levels of priority. And it scales them in terms of priority for me. And what I've done is, so like I'll open my laptop in the morning and it will say, hey, go to this website and create 2 TikToks and put them in your inbox. That's it, right? And I go, tick, done. It goes, okay, now release that TikTok. Click, done. Okay, I've done it. And then it goes, okay, now whatever the rest is. And it goes through and I can literally just work my way down this priority list that is set for me every single day based off my schedule. Because at the end of the day, content creation is kind of the same, like 20 tasks every week.
Every day.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's very cool.
That is actually something that I think that a lot of people go into content creation not knowing that it's not something new or every day, all the time. Sometimes content creation truly can be a mindless tedium of the same thing over and over again. And that's the time where you have to really not get disheartened, like when you're succeeding, like you can see what you're doing is working, but your brain is like, I don't want to do this.
Yep.
This isn't fun. This isn't interesting. That is the hill that everyone has to get over, because any job is not going to be fun 100% of the time.
Exactly.
And if you expect that of yourself, if you expect yourself to be having fun 100% of the time, and you're like, why am I not having fun? Why am I playing video games for a living and not having fun? You're going to beat yourself up about it, and it's going to make you hate it even more.
Yep. Agreed 100%.
I think 100%. Yeah, right. And I think that it connects as well to what you were saying earlier about the fact that if you try to be someone else, right? Like a lot of people say to me, like, how do I motivate myself to go live? How do I motivate myself to this? And there are a lot of different ways. And I think I've mentioned on the stream before that one of the core things is that at the end of the day, if you love what you're doing, it's a little bit easier to motivate yourself.
Yeah.
But if you don't enjoy it or don't want to be doing it, it's much harder. Obviously everyone's different, but like that's the core thing. And I think you're spot on.
You can't expect yourself to love something 100% of the time, though. It's just like with a human relationship. Relationships take work. Relationships aren't sunshine and rainbows all the time. And if they were, the divorce rate wouldn't be so high.
Yeah.
Everything takes work, and being willing to put in that work is
paramount. It is like that is creation. LJ said a really lovely thing that I took to heart as well, like a few weeks back, in terms of like motivation is just a word that you're giving yourself not to do something. You don't need to be motivated. You just have to do it. And once you think of it like that, of just this has to be done, and you do it, you get that hit of like, yeah, it's done. I've done it. Even when I didn't feel like doing it, it's done. And I feel so much better because of it. It's like a routine. When you first started, like we were talking beforehand, of like waking up early in the morning, you know, it would be the worst thing ever. You're like, I don't know why people do this. It sucks. But if you have to continually do it, you get used to it, you feel better about it. And then you grow into this different kind of schedule, this different routine. And it's just about your own mental kind of strength. Maybe not strength is the right word, but discipline. Discipline. That's the word.
Yeah,
yes,
I was waiting for a moment. I was like, yeah, that is discipline until you build it into your routine. And
Yes.
it becomes flow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're struggling with discipline, I think something very useful, especially if you are neurodivergent and, you know, you struggle with finding that motivation, is using your momentum. Say, you know, the task is you need to clean your room, and the idea of doing that entire task is so overwhelming that you're just like, I don't want to do it because that's a whole task that I hate. But if you're like, okay, but what if I pick up those 3 socks that are on the floor over there? And then you pick up the 3 socks, and then you're standing up. So you're like, okay, well, I'll open the window while I'm there, and I'll put the rest of the load of washing on, and then suddenly an hour's passed and your room's clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, breaking it
just
down
use
into
the momentum.
little tasks that seem a lot easier to tackle. Yeah.
Someone once said to me when I gave them that exact same advice, it doesn't work that way when you want to film a video. If I want to sit down and record for 2 hours, it's not that easy. And I said to them, yeah, absolutely is that easy. Because if the last thing you have to do, the last task you have to do is hit record and start recording, okay, well then just think to yourself, I just have to do the intro to the video. And before that, you think, I just have to turn the light on. And then before that, I just have to turn the camera on, or put a shirt on, or put my pants on, rather than do this without pants. You know what I mean? Like you can break everything, every aspect down. So people are like, well, some tasks are huge. Like going for a run, that's a huge task. I'm like, no, just put your socks on.
Yeah.
Put your shoes on. Now step outside the door and start walk. Take the first step. Like you're 100% spot on. Like Mads, like that is like literally the entire way to get yourself into doing something you don't want to do, which is why I love that low priority list that I mentioned on the mind list, because all my low priority ones are things that I can do in 5 minutes.
Yep.
And it's like, if I can do something in 5 minutes that's easy, then I can just start, then boom, I'm smashing it.
It's that momentum that you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, with that running thing, like at any point in that process, you can say, I don't want to do it, right? But once you've reached a certain point, you know, if you got your socks on and then you got your shoes on and then like, you know, the music's playing in your ears and you're opening the door, it's like, are you really going to turn back now?
Yeah.
Like once you've got all that on, your brain is like, I might as well finish it. You know, I'm here now.
Dead on. Almost the same thing with like going to the gym for me was just like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do like workout for an hour and just feel dead at the end of it. But you go there. And the biggest thing was just to go there. I was like, I'm just going to go there and then I can go back home. But then, as you said, once you're there, it's like, well, I may as well just do this little thing. May as well do this little thing. And then it like snowballs down. Now, Mads, there is something that I was talking to you about at the very beginning. And I think it's a good time to do it now. It's called the Divine Nine. And these are 9 questions that I'm going to ask you. And it's basically top of your head, just say whatever you feel. There is no right or wrong answer to this. We did this with Lysel and got some interesting answers that we could kind of bounce off. So are you okay with going ahead with the Divine Nine?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay. So 9 questions. I'll do rapid fire. And again, what's first comes to your head, just say it. So viewers, followers, or subscribers?
Followers.
Who is your number 1 pick for a collab stream?
Point Crow.
PC or console?
PC.
Would you rather stream AM or PM?
PM.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
YouTube or Twitch?
Twitch.
Poggers or Kappa?
What?
Poggers or Kappa?
Kappa.
Lurk or chat?
Lurk.
If you wrote an autobiography, what would you call it?
100 ways to do the wrong thing and 1 way to do it right.
Hey, very well done. Very well done.
Nice.
I love
Good
it.
work.
Good clap for that,
Easy.
absolutely.
I was
Yeah.
I was
And
expect-
now I have to
expect-
grill you.
Yeah, here comes the grilling.
Why followers?
I don't know. None of them seem right, so I picked one.
All right, I accept your answer. Second question: why so shocked about poggers or kappa?
Because I just didn't expect it. I didn't.
Right, fair.
I didn't expect it, and then I also the poggers was what caught me off guard initially because I was like, "What's the second one gonna be?"
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Okay, third question. You want to tell the audience what you told me about Point Crow the other day?
That I had a dream about Point Crow. That I had a dream about getting coffee with Point Crow.
Oh,
You don't even drink coffee.
I don't even drink coffee.
But he converted you to drink coffee. He's got this sway, this gentleman.
I mean,
Didn't he
yeah,
recently-
if
No,
Point
I
Crow
just
asks you to
like.
coffee, you
I
say
just
yes.
think he's really cool.
Yeah.
I just think he's really cool. And I've watched him grow over the last 3 years, and it's just overwhelming. You know, it's crazy, and I'm sure that he feels that more than anybody else. But I don't know. I just think he's neat.
That's
No,
cool.
that's totally fair.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
100%. I think Point Crow is, this gonna sound strange, right? Point Crow gets called a lot of terrible things, sadly. Like Point Crow gets told like, oh, you're the Wish version of X creator all the time.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I actually think Smallland is probably one of the most unique creators on Twitch and on YouTube. And I actually think he's kind of a trendsetter in a weird way. But I think because the challenge content he does is so similar to other challenge content that Smant or Ambiguous Amphibian and stuff does, that I think that a lot of people just see that on a base level and go, oh, the title says doing X game but with Y challenge. When in reality, I think Point Crow is far more unique than people give him credit for. I think his personality brings a whole new level of content, right? I think a lot of people who do challenges are, I'm going to do X challenge, and pretty much what you're getting is me doing X challenge. Whereas Point Crow is like, I'm going to do X challenge, and the entire time you're going to get me smiling, laughing, having fun, my personality, entertainment while I do the challenge.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say that Point Crow is inherently like a challenge gamer. I would say he's a pretty normal or a little bit better than normal gamer who fails a lot, but because he persists and does things in a fun way, it's fun to watch him fail his way through a challenge. You know what I mean?
I love the science and engineering stuff that he does.
Oh, it's so good, right?
It's so cool. It just and I've watched his Pokemon spin-off game content a lot, all of the non, the fan-made Pokemon games and stuff. I love that content so much. It just is awesome to me that he manages to have thousands of people in his chat, and it still feels like, it still feels like a fun and warm and good place to be, because huge streamers can feel a little bit sterile in chat when you see 1,000 poggers rolling by in quick succession, and you're like, okay, that's a lot to deal with. I'm just gonna close chat. But no, with when I'm locking Crow, I always have his chat open. The interaction is there, and not only is the interaction there, because obviously it can't be at the same degree as someone that's got 50 or 100 viewers, right? But it's just I don't know, it just fosters such a great community.
He really does. He really does. It's truly amazing. And I think one of the things that we always talk about here is making content for the collective versus the individual. And we plateau as small creators because we can't make content for the collective. We make content for individuals, right? And we can't do that for everyone at a certain point. And I think that Point Crow has managed to blur the gap there really well. That it's similar to Mango, which I don't think any of you guys watch, but Mango is a Smash streamer. Yeah. He's the
Right,
GOAT.
okay.
And he, something Ludwig talks about him, and I 100% agree, is that if you talk in Mango's chat, he will do a really good job at making you either feel incredibly involved and welcome, or at the same time, he'll remember you in every aspect, right? It's weird how his brain works, but if someone talks in chat, he'll be able to call them out and say, "Hey, I remember you. You were here a week ago," or whatever it is, and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, make content for a whole collective that's entertaining. And it's incredibly impressive because I think it's just, there are these streamers out there you're right, they have these large chats, but they do such an amazing job at making that chat still feel engaging and warm, which is why I get frustrated when I see so many small streamers say things like, I only watch people who are 20 viewers or less because they're the ones who respond to me. And I'm like, well, no, there are a lot of actually really talented people out there who will, give you great content and respond to you. And by lowering down the amount of people you're willing to watch purely by a view count, you're also changing your entire opinion of a platform. And if you want to be on this platform, you need to understand all aspects of it. So I think that's really.
I also think that thought can actually be detrimental in the long run for small streamers. If you are only hawking, like looking for small streamers because they're the ones that are going to respond to you, you are also the kind of person that is going to ditch that creator as soon as they miss one of your messages.
Yep.
And that doesn't make you a viewer. Like that makes. And like, how does that make a creator feel? Because you're not actually there for them. You're just there for the conversation.
You're a number.
Yeah.
Right?
We've talked about this a bit as well, in the sense that like, when I came back this year, I decided I'd be a bit more collective. So if I was in the middle of a story, I wouldn't stop my story to greet a new person who'd come in, which, I just feel like before I'd sometimes ruined stories or ruined the timing of jokes by being like, thanks for the follow, or hey, welcome in, or yeah, good morning to you too. And so I was like, okay, 2022 is the year where LJ doesn't interrupt himself and focuses on telling the story for the collective. And then I can greet people afterwards. And when I came back, I had a lot of people backlash. I was in the middle of a story and people would be like, are we just not greeting me today? Are you not going to say hello to me? Or I guess you do miss messages, or like stuff like that. Like, and it was very, very surprising for me. But the overall vibe was much better because it became less me doing rap god and me instead, making this content where I could still engage with people after the story was done or at the right moments. But yeah, when you do get larger, you will have those people who are like, you're not reading my messages, I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah, I'm
And
an
honestly,
OG.
good
How
riddance.
could you forget? How could you not like give all your attention to me, even though there's a huge collective watching you right now?
Yeah,
Literally, yeah.
120 people, or in your case, Mads, 200 plus people, and if one of them is upset you're not replying to them, it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
should I ignore every 199 other people to talk to you individually? What are we supposed to do here? Yeah, it's very, very tough. Can I ask?
It gets frustrating, that's for sure.
Can I ask with you, Mads, what do you think in your grand scheme of things? I mentioned what was hard that you had to learn earlier, but in the grand scheme of things over the last, 14, 15 months, what is one of the most difficult things outside of the personal stuff and the things you're struggling with in your current day-to-day streaming? Like what is something that you think you're struggling with that other creators could learn or might go through that is interesting to you?
I think there's a few things. There is such a desire to be liked by everyone that it is so difficult to be loved by some and hated by others.
I love this. Yeah.
It's so important to, instead of selling yourself out to be just, pleasantly liked by so many people, if you really focus on what you love and what you think other people will love, the people who love you will come to you.
I fucking love this. This is the best stream. That's the best podcast ever. This is the best podcast ever. Yeah!
He's got up. That's it.
That is the last fucking 9 months of my life, slowly degrading who I am as a human being down into the fear of not being liked by everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to the point where like 2 weeks ago, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go back to making penis jokes whenever I want and just doing my thing. And I'm uploading whatever I want now. And I'm sorry, this is the best.
LJ is
Something that's
pantless at the moment.
a phrase, I don't know where I heard it, I don't even remember who originally said it, but a phrase that sticks with me, that will stick with me, that I think I say to myself at least once a week, and I say to other people all the time as well when they struggle with the same thing, is that you could be the sweetest, juiciest, most beautiful peach in the world, and there's still going to be someone out there that hates peaches.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, it's dead on.
Just be do what you love, and even like just commit to what you trust and what you think,
Yeah.
what you want to do.
Yeah.
because, you know, like people have got careers on TikTok from pointing at things. Like just commit. If you think a bit is worth it, it's probably worth it, you know?
Yeah.
Another thing, and unfortunately a slightly more serious thing, is there can be such a tendency among streamers, and it's not just being liked by everybody, it's being liked especially by other streamers and other partnered streamers, and that can be it can be a lot of pressure, especially if you're an affiliate and, you know, partners are suddenly taking an interest in you and all, you know, all sorts of stuff. You're like, there can be a real, you know, tendency to agree with somebody just as an appeal to authority, you know?
Yeah.
But what I will say is that if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Don't... If somebody has shown you a side of them that you think, that's not usually who they are on stream, believe them. Don't trust your gut. If something really bad happens, and people are like, oh yeah, that guy, I don't know, he's really cool and stuff, and you don't think so, don't agree with them. You know, stay true to yourself. Don't let yourself get taken advantage of.
You and I had a conversation about this. I'm gonna jump onto this as well, and we're not gonna name names or get into it too intensely because obviously it's not appropriate. But Mads and I had a conversation about this because Mads, I was a partner before you, so I've been very active in spaces, and I'd known you from chat and a few other places, and I saw when you got partner and when you joined the Discord, and I was super excited for you, and you had a situation that was kind of skirting around your community, and I think we both know what we're talking about here, and it's like, you're right. There are a lot of people in this industry who there's a partner badge, and connecting with them can help you grow and cross-pollinate your community, but you're 100% right. Yeah, you've got to be super, super aware of that stuff and be aware of who they are off stream and how they present themselves and what they do. I don't mean to cut you off. I totally agree with you on this. This is a really big one. I think a lot of people see that badge and they assume everyone's like, oh, I got to be friends with this person to grow. I got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. But if you don't mesh or that person doesn't fit your values, 100%, which I don't think we're doing Q&A today, but one of our questions was actually about how do you mesh your values behind the scenes with other streamers, and how do you avoid working with people who are bigger? And it's tough.
Stay true to yourself always. Stay true to your morals and your code, because regardless of bridges that you have to burn, not burning that bridge would be worse for you. Losing yourself and selling out a part of yourself purely to be liked by somebody who you know isn't a great person is not worth it. You will sleep better at night knowing that you have been true to yourself. And I know that it's a really hard thing to do. Cutting somebody off or not giving someone access to you that has revealed themselves, like shown their hand, revealed themselves to be not an ideal person for you, can be extremely difficult and can be really, really taxing, and can often feel like something that is borderline impossible to do. But
yeah,
it's so much more important to...
It's also to yourself and your community, right? Like if you think about it, right? Like this happens in all aspects of how serious it can be. It could be that someone is just not at the right vibe for your community. We've talked about how raids sometimes aren't the right vibe, right? Yeah. It could be as simple as a collab is just not fitting, or it could be something much more serious where behind the scenes they're not the right. They're a very different person. You know what I mean? And I think you're 100% spot on in the fact that you will sleep better knowing that you are fostering the right community and the right content and the right kinds of people. Because I've had sometimes where I've had other communities I've worked with come and join my community a bit, and I've noticed that my community hasn't meshed with them, and they've been like, these jokes aren't fun. I don't like what these people are doing. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm 100% with you, and that's why our mods are working on this, and we won't be doing that stuff anymore, because I 100%. I think it's a really interesting and powerful thing you're bringing up, honestly. Yeah. I think a lot of streamers are scared to do that. Like they're scared to put that foot down and go, no, this doesn't really work. We're not doing it.
Yeah, there's a definite idolatry that's out there, even from a viewer perspective as well. I think you'll see a lot of people, if they hang out in, a big time streamers chat, they won't leave because they're kind of the in thing at the moment. So they want to be a part of it, and they're scared of if they say anything bad or, they don't see their friends in this chat, that they're doing a wrong thing by not following this person or watching this person because they're the biggest streamer at the moment, or this is where all the controversy is. Because I do see a big meta at the moment, and you can see it online in terms of Twitch and on YouTube as well, is the Twitch content that's being created by these big time streamers, you can see in the thumbnails, is to bring a controversial character on and get their takes on certain things and try and shine them in a light that's a bit forgiving depending on their bias. And it's not so much about the content, it's about how much controversy they can create by doing that. And yeah, you're completely right, because there's a lot of streamers out there who should just focus on their content and not try and jump on this bandwagon of, there's a big thing. There's, a YouTube creator out there who just shows the demise of big time creators. Like that's their whole channel. And it's like, I understand that, but is that something that we should be rewarding, or is that something that we're more fascinated within, but actually is kind of toxic because it's not about their, reaching the summit, it's about their decline from the summit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually quite, this is a tendency that people have that is very frustrating, that if you are not succeeding, you want to go and bring somebody else down. You want to go and make yourself feel better by bringing somebody else down who maybe is succeeding or who did succeed. And like combating your own negativity by bringing in more negativity is never going to make you feel better. It's only going to make you feel worse. It's only a cycle of just constant gross, yucky horribleness. Like, if you're dealing with something in yourself and you find that the only way to, combat that is by bringing somebody else down, it definitely is worth taking a moment to step outside
and touch
of
grass.
Yourself for a moment and think about why that is. Not just step outside, LJ, not just touch grass.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I'm the worst. I'm so sorry. This is a serious topic. And not only did I cut you off earlier, but now I'm making dumb jokes. I apologize.
Just run your hand through the cool, smooth blades of grass.
Like Gladiator, just the end of Gladiator.
But no, yeah,
You're real. I've never seen grass tall enough to do the Gladiator thing.
Well,
I've seen like wheat and stuff.
I
but
think
I've
it
never
was
seen
wheat
like
that they were doing it in, if that's what you're asking.
Was it wheat?
Yes, wheat.
I thought it was grass.
Pretty sure it's wheat.
Isn't the touch grass thing the whole concept of you run the? Is that not?
What?
Never mind. We'll move on. I'll Google. I'll Google later. I'll Google it later. I'll Google it later.
The only thing I just want to say quickly is just, it's unfortunate there's just some people in the space that are going to be petty, and there's always that fear that by you saying no to someone or by distancing yourself because they don't fit your vibe and you want to trust your gut feeling, there is that the chance and the fear that, this person's going to start talking bad about me now because I've done this. But Mads, you're completely right. Like, you got to stay true to yourself and stay in the right lane, and you'll be surrounded by other amazing people who are doing this for the right reasons and are generally good people.
Yeah, and it loops back to what I was saying earlier about learning to be loved by a few versus liked by many.
Yep.
Like, don't just sit there and tolerate it. And if you know that somebody else is doing that, if you know that someone else is being horrible, you sitting by and tolerating it isn't going to make you feel good,
100%. Yeah. I think the fear of someone talking about you is something that I've had in a few situations where I've had to, say, I'm not going to be involved in this. Sorry, guys, blah, blah, blah. And I had a realization early on when I was in university. In university, you do group projects, and group projects suck. They always go terribly in university because you're a bunch of children and you're trying to learn still, right? And then when you're a streamer, you're still just, you regress back into a bunch of children doing group projects most of the time, right? So you have to find people who understand how to handle these things. And one thing I learned very early on was your actions and your intent always will be a better foot forward. Like, someone could come out and say, hey, I can't stand that guy, LJ. He's an idiot. He sucks. He makes terrible guides. They don't do anything. I tried to do it all. You suck. Blah, 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 blah. but because of my actions and my intent behind everything I've done, it's very unlikely that someone saying all that stuff is ever going to come out, right? Like it's never going to do anything, because most people will look at me and go, LJ's doing his best, right? We know who he is as a human being, right? You guys know me behind closed doors to a certain extent, and nothing really changes, right? At the end of the day, I'm still just me. If anything, I'm more cautious behind closed doors to make sure I am inclusive and including people, because I'm less trying to just make content. And I think that's a big thing, is at the end of the day, your actions and the intent behind those actions speaks louder than what other people will say about you. You know, when I first met my wife, one of the things she taught me was to judge someone by the intent of what they're doing and not by the action they actually did. So if you're, you know, with a big group of friends and someone says something that's not on, don't just go, that person's a piece of shit, you know? Go, why did they do it? Why did they say that thing? And you realize, oh, their intent wasn't to be hurtful, right? Their intent wasn't to do the wrong thing. Their intent was to do the right thing. And so you should always just judge someone by that intent. Obviously, some people have terrible intent. But I think that's one of the things, right? Is if you have good intentions and you take good actions and you take responsibility as a human being, as a content creator, you'll always come out in a much better light with much better people surrounding you.
Definitely. There is a social kind of a maturity that some people just didn't grow up with. They don't know how to really express their feelings, and they may do it in such a way that you're kind of like, oh, what's going on here? But as LJ's saying, there is an intent behind it. They're not trying to be mean. They're just saying in a very poorly phrased way. And it's separating them, because you have to know the person. And as we brought up before, who you also are as a content creator is a big thing, but who you identify as a collaborator is another big thing, because that's also your brand. That's also who you're pairing yourself with, how people will view you. If there's any controversies and you're one of the people that's constantly collaborating with them, it's going to shift over to you as well. So it really is, you have to find people like who we have here that I feel confident being with, because I know that hopefully we're all good, confident people in terms of what we're trying to do. It's an intent. We just want to make fun. We know LJ has some deep skeletons in the closet.
I cockfight on the weekends. I cockfight on the weekends.
I knew. I was going to say, you keep asking for $20 from us and we can't keep paying these prices. Yeah.
It's rigorous. It was years of training, and then I got there and found out they used chickens, and I was like, oh my God, that ruined it.
Okay. And thank you so much for watching the stream room. It's been a pleasure. We're dropping frames. What I will say, to bring it on a bit of a maybe more a lenient note here, is Mads. We asked this of Lysel as well in the previous time that we've had a guest on the show. How many times have you had noise complaints from either neighbors and or people you live with, if you were to ballpark figure?
Never.
Wow. Okay. Round of applause. Round of applause. Very well done.
To be fair, I live in a house, like a big old housey house. I don't live in. I used to live in an apartment. I still never got noise complaints in the apartment because our apartment block was notorious for the fire alarm going off at random times. So really, I was not the worst thing that people were dealing with.
That's good. That's very good.
Yeah. And the people that I live with work weird schedules as well. So really, I don't get noise complaints because who are they to judge?
Exactly.
You know?
And also very, very last for me is with your career, do you see yourself wanting to focus more on content creation, or when you get your master's, do you go, obviously your priorities will change because you want to focus on, going down a different career path that is not content creation? Where do you see yourself at the moment to where you possibly see yourself in the future?
What if I was getting a master's in content creation?
Is there such a thing?
I don't know. I'm not getting one. But
Marketing. A master's in marketing, I reckon, is content creation.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't know. The future is blurry and clouded for all of us. We can never make with certainty a decision for 5 years down the track because you don't know who you're going to be then. You don't even know who you're going to be in a week.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me an hour from now, I might have a completely different opinion on something, to be honest.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of being human, is that we're all so fluid and we can change basically whenever and however we want for whatever reason. So the answer is I don't know. And I hope that when the time comes for me to make that decision, I will know exactly what I want to do. but I don't know now. And right now I can just do the best I can with what I have.
Yep. Let's go with the flow
I
right
fucking
now.
love this.
Good.
I want to say my final closing points on all of this, because I know Reapz needs us to wrap up or else we'll be editing for 3 hours. Is my whole closing points on all of this for me personally is that doing this podcast, going into it, Mads, I respected you. Like, I thought you were a cool content creator. I thought you were a mate, you know, like I had a lot of respect for you. But I'll be entirely honest with you, after hearing your thoughts today and after talking to you today, you've gone from someone who just I respect to legitimately, you do inspire me. You've given me a huge amount that I think it took me a long time to learn. And it sounds like you know these things, or you've learned these things yourself intrinsically, and it impresses me. And honestly, I'm moving forward in my content creation. I think you will be someone who inspires me as a fellow ANZ creator. And I think anyone listening to this, if you don't, you need to. This isn't just a spruik. You need to go to MicroMads. There's no Zs or any weird funny things. It's just MicroMads. You can tell.
What do you mean weird funny things by Z? What do you mean by that?
I'm just, maybe a Z or some numbers on the end is a bit weird.
Just go on, yeah.
I'm just, I think it's weird. You got to go check out her stream. And I think you'll know exactly what we're talking about when we say that it is good content and it's unique content and it's content we can all learn from.
If there's one thing that I want to say on that, you mentioned earlier that you have people who say that your stream scheme videos, the advice that you give has never changed a content creator. Well, let them use me as an immediate counter to that, because I absolutely credit you with
He's off again.
a whole bunch.
He's doing Kumite in the background.
Of my of when I started. LJ was literally all I watched.
Hey, let's go.
That is a GIF reaction right there. Just LJ getting up and just silently.
Shake. It is. It reminds me of Kumite, like blood sport styles.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's why I brought you on, Mads. The $50 will be in your PayPal by the end of the week.
I'm watching it transfer now.
It's coming. It's on its way. That's part of my Twitch payout from last month.
Very nice.
That's 50% of it.
Oh, it hurts because it's true. Anyway,
I appreciate that. That is actually incredibly kind.
It's so very sweet.
And next week we're bringing on Walker, and I've asked him to say the same thing. So.
Jesus Christ. Nick, any last comments or questions to Mads before we wrap it up?
No questions, but something very similar to LJ. Like, it's been so lovely getting to know you, Mads, and like meeting you properly today for the first time. And a lot of what you said has also been quite inspiring, and it's been really great learning from your experiences and hearing from you. So it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been such a joy today. So thank you for joining us on the podcast as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And finally from me, you're all right. So next week we will have what we will
6 out of
do
10.
is
I just got that. I know it was really slow. It took me a while, but that was really funny.
Yeah,
well done,
anyway.
Reapz. So he said you're just all right, because we complimented Mads a lot, and so it was a nice juxtaposition. That was the joke. I got that.
Yeah,
That's a little bit.
Thank
Yeah,
you
I got
so
it.
much
Yes.
for explaining it.
Explaining that.
But what I will say is that we should definitely, we're thinking of maybe doing a night of Sea of Thieves to kind of promote the pod, if that's a thing, if we're all down for, or maybe even a day just to play Sea of Thieves. But
Mads is like, I'm done with Sea of Thieves.
you love
Let me
it.
do
No, you
something
love
else.
it. Yeah, you'll throw me in. You can
Excellent.
walk me off the plank, everything like that. So stay tuned. Obviously follow Mads. I'm going to put up all the display right there. LJ's already done the big spruik. But what I will like to say, Mads, is that you've obviously opened a lot of eyes and ears in terms of what people are looking for in content creation. But we have a thing at the end of every podcast where it's a call and response. So basically, if people get this far, if you've come this far, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We have a call and response where the viewers will type something in your chat and you have to respond with something. So for instance, one of them in the past has been an egg is a vegetable?
Yeah.
A vegetable.
Yeah.
And we had to say it's a fruit.
It's a fruit. So they will type that in your chat. An egg is a vegetable, and you respond with egg is actually a fruit, and then you continue on like normal. Would you like to make a call and response that we have to respond to, and yourself, obviously, in the future? When this podcast drops in 6 days, people will watch it and they'll go, oh, this is the call and response this week.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a tough one, I know.
I'm a reaper. No, you're a toddler.
That's normal. That's not even out of left field enough to qualify.
I love it. All right.
Don't worry, take your time. I can cut this bit out in between.
Okay.
No.
You want to keep it?
Yeah.
Keep a
Just put the
pause.
Jeopardy music
Like,
on.
is the podcast still on? Yeah.
Yeah, you put the Jeopardy music on. We'll work on it. Oh god. My creative juices have just like completely expired. I'm gonna need to go shopping for some new ones.
Okay.
That should be it.
That should be it.
Say, they'll come in and say, my creative juices have expired.
And we say-
Mads, you say, well, let's go shopping for some new ones.
Done.
There you go.
Okay.
Incredible.
So everyone, my creative juices have expired, and we will respond with, let's go shopping for some new ones. Good?
There you go.
Everything
Beautiful.
like that. Now, Mads, we've done the last bit of questions and answers. Is there anything finally that you would like to say? Obviously, spruik your stuff. Let people know what's going on, obviously. And yeah.
Okay. Well, to spruik myself, you can find me on pretty much every platform as MicroMads, MicroMads. My parting words to you, as a content creator, I assume, is turn off your view count.
Yeah.
Do it now. Do it immediately.
Yeah.
Don't ask why. Just do it.
Agreed.
I once gave that advice in a video, and I made a joke saying if you don't know how to do it and you can't figure it out just from clicking it, just put some blue tack on your screen or something as a pure joke. Tubbo watched that video, spent 15 minutes calling me a fucking idiot because I said to put blue tack on your screen. And I was like, do I need to add a laugh track?
Disclaimer.
Oh my god.
Sorry, you just reminded me of that. I said it.
And the last thing is that you can never do bad by putting positivity into the world.
Hey, that is very,
Oh, that's
very
good.
good. Very,
That's
very
good.
good.
Very nice.
I like that.
All right. So, everyone, we are dropping frames. We'll be back for another week of podcasts. But again, do all the kind things to us that helps the channel grow and all the algorithms. Tell a friend. I don't know. Tell anybody who's looking into content creation to maybe give us a look-see. But until next week, everybody, we're saying goodbye. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.